standing in between two of your larger tunnels here, and I just want to talk a little bit about the water management here. I know it's sloped downhill sort of away from the tunnels here, but
Yeah.
you get to some interesting stuff with this, what do you call it, a buffer?
Yeah, so in between the houses, we went with a 6-foot buffer between the houses and wanted to have a row in between, because when you think of the water coming from both houses on each side, it's the equivalent of all the water from one house pitching down right in between both houses. So where does that water go, and how does that affect your erosion? And also too, does that water go back into the beds or affect your plants that are already inside the houses? So one way that we've used to mitigate that challenge is when we first installed the houses, we dug a 12-inch wide by 12-inch deep ditch right along where our poles are on both sides. We took that soil, dumped it on top of our bed as a double dig method, but then we filled in these ditches with wood chips back up to the level. And then we put over our landscape fabric on this side, so you can tell in here, you can see this is all wood chips that goes down 12 inches. So it acts as a nice sponge, and it's able to capture all that water that comes off the houses and slows it down and kind of prevents erosion. And over time, this will break down, as you can tell, into great soil. I mean, this has only been here for a year. Yeah, so this right here, I would say, would be the money shot, where you have, roly-polies, you can see baby earthworms, it's tons of mycelium that's already into the wood chips. So lots of mushroom blooms throughout the springtime and summer. This is already 50% the soil already. You can tell, nice compaction, comes apart easy in your finger. Smells really good, full of humus. So this is going to feed the soil for years to come. So this is what we want right here. Wood chips going right back into the soil and feeding our plants for years to come. So this is a great way of building soil, but also to having a way of slowing down your water and potentially eliminating any type of erosion.
So you find that the wood chips absorb all the water pretty much coming off the tunnels?
I would say at least 90%. Now, as we go downhill, where the water is just coming off there, you might have a hair bit of runoff, but not enough to where we have any damage. And with that in mind, we also have one bed at the bottom that goes perpendicular to the houses, so it slows down any erosion that we may have. And so far, we haven't had none with these crazy rainfalls that we now have, which are hard and really fast. So this seems to be working so far, and as you can tell here, we don't have an erosion of the wood chips, which will be an indicator that you have excess runoff. So not only does it does a job of soaking up the water, but it also is an indicator of how much are we losing to actually wash off, because if it does wash off, you can actually see it, and we haven't been able to see that so far.
Okay, and there's certain crops that you plant in this buffer zone, or?
So in this buffer zone right now, we have some late planting of cauliflower, which we expect no crop from. It's just we had extra plants when we ordered them. We said, let's just keep the soil alive and keep something in it. If we miraculously get a crop from this, or one head of cauliflower, that'll be amazing. But the main thing for these rows is that during the whole year, it's act as a buffer between the two water sources coming off here. And then I would say most times of the year we have crops in here, so things like squash. We'll do things like bush beans that are low growing, but keeps the soil covered and also keeps structure in the soil. So these act as a way where about maybe 6 to 7 months a year we do get some crop out of here. So this does act as a mechanism for making money, but the main thing is for a buffer. So I think that can work out in a no-till system. It doesn't have to be a big space of this, but somewhere where the water can be absorbed. Maybe just one big dish with wood chips. I mean, that can also work too.
Okay. But this gives you some flexibility to actually plant something in here.
Yeah, dude. I'm always about how can I like multi-use something. So not just that buffer, but now I can come in and I can do maybe flowers, throughout the year, cut flowers, or maybe I can plant okra in here, because the okra plant is going to give me shade, in the fall to something that I want to plant in here. So it gives me a lot of flexibility.
Cool, but I think that digging that trough or trench and then filling it with wood chips, I think that's a cool idea.
It's easy, and it's not really any excess amount of work, because when we first cut the ground with our BCS, the ground is already soft. So you're basically doing it like a double dig, just one shovel wide, one shovel down, and just walking the pathway essentially. and you have a ready-made ditch to just fill in with wood chips.